ladies and gentlemen. It is now 11:17, and we will continue with our day with Captain Oscar Dario Tascon Munoz, who is currently the Director of Research, Development and Innovation of Cotecmar.
We are now in the second part of this seminar. We will have two very important presentations on the technologies and a project that shows innovation in our country. And we are very pleased to hear the presentation of them. So go ahead, please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start by saying thank you to the Embassy of Colombia, the organizers of this event. And thank you for being here with us today. What I'm going to talk about are the cooperation programs that we currently have with South Korea in order to advance and promote the shipbuilding industry in Colombia. So it is a technical, in some way, presentation. This is the outline of the presentation. I'm going to start with a brief introduction. Some of the information that I have here you have seen already today. I'm going, after that introduction about the shipbuilding industry, then I'll go into the specifics of the Colombian shipbuilding industry, how it was born and how it has evolved. Then I will go into Cotecmar, which is a science and technology corporation. I work for Cotecmar. I'll talk about the technology gaps that we have identified in the shipbuilding, in the Colombian shipbuilding industry. Then I am going to talk about the projects that we have with South Korea, and I'm going to finish the presentation with some highlights. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. Starting with the introduction, most probably you have already seen this. 90% of the world trade is carried by the shipping industry. This means that ships are very important for the world economy. This industry is a strategic industry, and it has been recognized like that over the years for many different countries. It helps protect the maritime interests. What we have heard here during the two last presentations is related with the maritime interests of the country. So one of the missions of the Navy is to protect those maritime interests, and we do that by using warships in this case. Now, it provides also support during peacetime and wartime. As I said before, ships are important for the world economy. It is a synthesis industry, and that means that we use the products and byproducts that are generated by other industries. This helps develop productive chains. Also, it is labor intensive, so it generates work for people, and not everyone can work in this industry. So people need some skills, and they need to be trained in order to participate in this industry. It also strengthens the scientific capabilities of the country. I think Captain Ariel was mentioning something, and that is related with this, and is the design of a submarine is more complex than the design of a space shuttle, for instance. Because of that, it fosters the technological development of a country. This is just to show you that this industry, because being strategic, has been protected over the history. Here we have the three major shipbuilders in the world. They are China, Korea, and Japan. And we have there what they are doing right now to incentive the shipbuilding industry. I would like to close this part of the presentation with this message, and it's the shipbuilding industry that is led today by East Asia allows the development of value-added technology for the protection and the exploitation of the water resources. Now, talking about the Colombian shipbuilding industry, Well, if you have been to the Colombian pavilion, you have learned this. Colombia is the 31st world economy. It's the fourth largest economy in Latin America. It's one of the seventh emerging economies. The population of Colombia is 46 million. It's the second largest population of any Spanish-speaking country in the world. Captain Arias has talked about this, but what he didn't told us is that we have 25,000 kilometers of rivers. So rivers are very important in our country. 75% of them are navigable, and some regions of Colombia can only be accessed by rivers. We are located 180 miles from the Panama Canal. So talking about what is happening in Colombia, what is happening around us, I can tell you that, as you most already know, the Panama Canal is expanding. That is going to change the dynamics of the Caribbean in terms of how ships are moving trades. Those ships that used to be liners are going to become feeders. So we will have to prepare to attend bigger ships. Also, the oil and gas industry, as Captain Arias also mentioned, is growing in Colombia. Soon we will have offshore exploitation. Then we are going to have offshore platforms, and we will need ships to support those platforms. The tourism is growing up in Colombia as well. That is going to the part is also going to need ships to move those tourists that are visiting our country. Also, both in the military sector and the commercial sector, there are a lot of needs in Latin America for ships to comply with their mission. Now, the new free trade agreements that have been recently signed, well, those present opportunities for us to develop this industry. This is related with what I was telling you about the Panama Canal. So we currently have in the country a shipbuilding expansion project. We want to move from the 3,600 tons to the 22,000 tons of lifting capacity, and we have identified the Korean companies as potential partners for this. This is a very important program in the government. It's the Productive Transformation Program. It looks to strengthen sectors that are important for the country and that play a key role in the economics of the country. This is an initiative of the Colombian Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Tourism. And the good news about this is that the government has identified 16 strategic sectors, and one of them is the shipbuilding industry. Going into the history of the Colombian shipbuilding industry, this is going to be very brief, really. It was born formally in 1929 in Barranquilla. The company that created the first modern shipyard was Unial. Then in 1934, the Colombian Navy got involved into this project. In 1956, the first repair shipyard was created within the Navy base in Cartagena. Then in between 53 and 66, the shipbuilding industry for repair mainly grew on the Pacific coast of Colombia. In 1969, a new company was created. Its name is or was Conastil. Conastil bought a floating dock and started doing repair on that floating dock. In 1977, there was an expansion of that capacity, so they bought some terrains and they placed their workshops to start working formally on shipbuilding and ship repair. Between 81 and 83, there was an expansion of that capacity, but unfortunately in 1994, Conasville went into bankruptcy. So in 1997, the Navy presented a program to the government to rebuild that capacity. This program went over 3 years, and in 2000, Cotecmar was created. This Science and Technology Corporation started its operation in 2001. Now, closing this section of the presentation, this is the message. The shipbuilding industry in Colombia has evolved with the support of the Colombian Navy, and it is generating new business opportunity and the recognition of this as a world-class sector in the country. Cotecmar, well, I'm going to tell you very briefly what is Cotecmar, what we are doing in terms of research and development, what we are doing in terms of product innovation, training and education, the impact that we are having on the sector, and the collaboration programs that we have right now. So Cotecmar is a science and technology corporation. It is a non-for-profit organization. It is mixed. It is a partnership between the Colombian Navy and 3 universities in Colombia: National University, Northern University, and Technological University of Bolivar. It's focused on science and technology. It is driven by the shipbuilding industry. Cotecmar can be understood as a technology development center for the shipbuilding industry, and it is an integrated model between government, academy, and industry. Best of all, we don't get money from the government, so we are self-sufficient. This comes from the strategic planning of Cotecmar, vision and mission, and I just would like to highlight the word innovation. Innovation is in the DNA of Cotecmar. We have 3 research programs. One deals with design and engineering, the second one with shipbuilding materials, and the third one with competitiveness and learning. The products of those research programs have 3 kinds of impacts. The first one is at the sectoral level, the second one is at the products level, and the third one is at the processes level. So all the results that we get via these projects at the end impact the full shipbuilding industry. These are just examples of the projects we are working on right now at the products level. We are doing hull optimization, we are working with fuel cells, energy optimization, unmanned vehicle, radar cross-section, etc. Going into product innovation, we have developed products for the military. We have also developed products for law enforcement and combat, for the offshore industry, and we are looking at dual-use technology to satisfy some requirements from the government. So these are the products that we have developed for the military. This is the concept of operations of the Colombian Navy in the rivers. I have to tell you that Colombia is a world reference in what relates to riverine warfare, both on the operational sense and the technological sense. So we have, in Cotecmar, we have developed the technology that the Colombian Navy uses in the rivers to satisfy this leaf strategy. So this is the first of these products, the riverine patrol vessel. This is the light version of that one. This one was built in the middle of the jungle. So it was delivered in the middle of the jungle. We built and pre-assembled modules in Cartagena. We transport them by road, and then with almost no infrastructure, we launched them at these 2 sites, at La Landia in Caquetá and San José del Guaviare, in the middle of the jungle. We also developed this riverine patrol craft. Brazil is buying this year 4 of these vessels, 2 for the Army, 2 for the Navy. It can be transported on a C-130. Now going into law enforcement and combat, again there is a concept of operations for that the Colombian Coast Guard uses at sea. This is the concept of operations for maritime interdiction. Again, we have developed, this works as a system, and we have developed all the products that the Colombian Navy uses within this concept of operations. So here is the offshore patrol vessel. We delivered this one on December of last year. It is the biggest vessel that has ever been built in Colombia. It is an 80 meters vessel, 1,800 tons. We are building another one of those this year. We are working on this coastal patrol vessel. This is one of the projects that we have with one of the Korean companies, STX, and we have developed also the interceptors boats. For the offshore industry, we have developed this pumping platform. We delivered it to Ecopetrol in Barranca Bermeja. And last Friday, we delivered this offshore tug to the Colombian company Serviport that works very closely with Ecopetrol. Dual-use technologies, well, mainly those riverine vessels that we have developed for the Navy, we are looking at ways of using them, using that knowledge to satisfy some needs of the government. So we are developing a riverine container ship, a mobile school, mobile hospital, a floating school, an aquatic bath for Cartagena, and we have also developed a vessel to attend emergencies. Training and education is very important in Cotecmar. We currently have more than 50 people who are being trained at the graduate level, both PhDs and master's degrees. And these are the places of the world where we currently have people abroad. So we have people at the USA, we have people at Brazil. We helped develop from scratch a couple of graduate programs in Colombia. One at the Naval Academy and one at the Technological University of Bolivar. We have people in England, Spain, Belgium, and hopefully we will have also here people at KAIST University. We have to perform outreach activities. We have been invited to many international scientific events to show the results of the research that we have been carried out. This is just an example of those events that we have attended. And we also have these activities in Colombia. So the first one is Colombia Mar. It is an expo that is devoted to the shipbuilding industry. We have it every 2 years. At the same time, we have a congress. We have the International Ship Design and Naval Engineering Congress. Last one was in 2011. Next one is next year between the 13th and the 15th of March. So please mark your calendars and be with us during those dates in Cartagena. Also, we have a scientific journal. It's the Ship Science and Technology Journal. It is available online. It is a unique initiative in Latin America. We have won many prizes and awards in Colombia, and all of them are related with innovation, mainly organizational innovation and product innovation. We have sectoral initiatives. Here is a short list of those that we have right now that we are working with the government. But from that list, I would like to highlight the first one. We have done benchmarking with the different countries that are #1 right now in the shipbuilding industry, and all of them have something in common, and that is a national shipbuilding policy. So without a national shipbuilding policy, any shipbuilding industry will fail. So we are working very closely with the government in order to get that next year, to have a national shipbuilding policy. And one of the examples that we are using is the Korean shipbuilding policy. These are the statistics of the results that we have achieved right now. I would like to highlight the fact that we have invested between 2011 and 2012 around $5.2 US million. We have many collaboration agreements, and they span industry, government, and the academy. We have collaboration agreements with universities, research centers. We also have international collaboration programs for the development of products, mainly in this case. We are working with with 5 Latin American countries in the development of a common platform for an OPV, an offshore patrol vessel. Also, we are working with Brazil, and most probably we will start working with Peru as well in the development of a vessel for the protection of the Amazonia. Also, the CPV project that I mentioned before with a Korean company, and also the co-development of an OPV for export, also a project that we are working with a Korean company. So Cotecmar makes innovation the main feature of its organizational culture, and supports sectoral development as a key for competitiveness. Now, moving into technology gaps, we have identified 2 different types of technology gaps in the shipbuilding industry. The first one relates with ship design and production. So here is a constant curve for competitiveness, and you see here is Colombia. Well, this is inverse productivity. This is man-hours per compensated gross tons, and this is cost per man-hour. Here is Colombia, and here is Korea, and these are constant curves. This one is the $1,000 per compensated gross tons. This one is the blue one, is the one for $500 per compensated gross tons. So this means that the big vessel will cost 20% less if it is built in Korea compared with Europe or Colombia, because there is a 60%, 40% distribution between materials and labor. So this one is the same inverse productivity metric, but here we have technology level, or the best practice level. Colombia is here, is 2.4 at this moment. We have to move into the red curve, and in order to do that, we need to change our technology level. We need to increase our technology level, and the way we think that is faster to do that is via transfer of technology, and that is what we are working, or we are currently working with the Korean companies. We also have a gap in systems integration. This is well, we have borrowed this view from BCNS. BCNS is a French shipbuilder, a military shipbuilder, and they talk about the whole warship architecture. One of the goals that we have for the future is to design and build the vessels that will replace our current frigates. In order to do that, well, we need to complete that puzzle. Right now, what we have is in the naval architecture and marine engineering field. We are missing the combat management system part of the puzzle, and the combat systems integration as well. And this is the reason why at this moment we are partnering with LIG Next One in order to close that gap in the integration part So the national shipbuilding industry recognizes the importance of developing synergies with the leading players in the industry worldwide to strengthen the technological and competitive capabilities of this industry. Now, going into the specifics of those projects that I mentioned before, these are the umbrellas that we have for developing those projects. So in 2008, a G2G, government-to-government MOU, was signed for the cooperation in defense and logistics. Then in September of 2010, the ministers of defense of both countries also signed a cooperation agreement to perform research and development projects and to exchange information and to have scientific mobility. So those are the umbrellas that we are using for these two projects. So to close the first gap, we are working with STX in the construction of 2 CPVs. We have already signed a memorandum of understanding. Also with LIG Net 1, we are working in the co-development of an OPV for export. The CPV project. The Colombian government has a plan for the construction of 16 CPVs for the next 12 years. By 2014, they should have both 3 of these vessels. So what we are doing is that 2 of those vessels are going to be built here in Korea at STX. STX is going to license our design, and during the span of those 2 years, we are going to have transfer of technology in the shipbuilding related processes. At the same time, we will be building one of those vessels in Colombia. This is the timeline. Here is just to show you that by 2014, we should have delivered those 3 vessels. And by the end of 2014, we should have moved from 2.4 in that technology level to 3.1. That is the goal that we have with this project. Now the OPV export, here we have co-development. This is a co-development project. In this case, Colombia, Cotecmar, is in charge of developing the platform. LIG Net 1 is responsible for the CMS, the combat management system, and the both of us are responsible for the integration part of that combat management system with the platform. What we are developing is an OPV. An OPV is mostly a Coast Guard vessel. So here we are developing a version. As a matter of fact, we are developing 3 different versions that comprise 3 different configurations of weapons and sensors, and we are looking at 3 different markets. Those are Latin America, Asia, and Africa. This is the timeline for that project. It's a project that goes to 2016. We are on schedule right now on this project. And well, here is the closing remark of this section. Cotecmar represents the whole shipbuilding industry in Colombia. We recognize the need to develop projects with alliances in South Korea and other countries in order to promote the shipbuilding industry via cooperation strategies. Now, I would like to close this presentation with these highlights. So the shipbuilding industry is strategic to any country. The Colombian Navy has had a major role in the development of the shipbuilding industry in Colombia. We have developed, Cotecmar has developed a value-added shipbuilding technologies and leads several sectoral initiatives that aim to strengthen the shipbuilding industry in Colombia. We have identified the technology gaps that we have in this industry, and we have identified transfer of technology as the way of closing those gaps. So thank you very much for your attention. Gracias, Kamsahamnida.
Thank you, Captain Munoz. Now I would like to introduce our third expert, Mr. Hong Song-gyu. He is the Senior Vice President of Global Business Division at LIG Next One.
Good morning. That was a very excellent presentation. Thank you very much. I'd like to touch on some statistics before I make some comment on Captain's presentation. In 1950, Korea ranked 192nd in terms of world standing out of 196 countries. Our income per person was $72 at the time. Now it stands more than $20,000. Our export grew to $500 billion as of last year. That is within the top 10, top 7 actually in the world rank. And all this had been paid off because Koreans have been putting a lot of effort into education, science and technology, and consistency by the government. That was the reason I asked you some of the budget figures. For example, our government spending last year was $300 billion. We spent $30 billion onto defense, but we spent $45 billion into education. So despite the fact that we are still confronted with North Korea, we spend 50% more money on education than we spend on defense. That's how we are committed in building people, building manpower, building infrastructure. Having said that, about the shipbuilding, out of $500 billion we exported last year, it was led by 5 sectors, which are IT, electric appliances, steel, among others, automobile, and then shipbuilding. If you go to STX and Hyundai Shipbuilding Yard, they produce 300,000 ton vessel for every 3 days. They build 100 tons per year. That's one ship per 3 days for a size of 300,000 ton vessel. So that means we are very much dedicated in terms of manufacturing skill as well as technology. If you have wonderful design skills, if you don't follow that up with manufacturing skill, what good is that? So in Colombia, in Kutama, it has wonderful R&D strategies and what have you. But 3 things you need. One is you need to build manpower. You need to have a consistent policy backing from government. If you embark on a long-term road, I mean, you need to have consistency in policy. And then you need to have facilities. So those 3 things. But then also there's a 4th factor, which is technology. And that is what Captain Tascon has dealt with here. So how do you close the technology gap? The quickest way is to be partnered with somebody who has gone through that steps, working side by side. That was the reason why I proposed the Colombian Defense Ministry to do joint development of radar system. So we will be receiving 20 trainees, 20 engineers from Colombia to Korea. They'll be working side by side with LIG Next One radar engineers for 2 years. And they will be witnessing and participating in the radar component design, component manufacturing, and the integration of a radar system, which then they will take it back to Colombia to do to design your own radar system for Colombian Air Force. And then we can, of course, help you out with all those technologies. That is an example of reducing the technology gap. It took 40 years for us to learn all these technologies by ourselves or from some advanced countries such as USA and others help. But it'll be a lot less for you if you work with us Koreans, LIG Nexon being one of them, STX and other government entities, to shorten those technology gap. The surest way is to do some joint collaboration. So through hands-on experience, by sending some people to here, to Korea, who are working side by side, that is the best way to get hands-on experience. One more thing, may I? My personal proposal to Colombian government or Navy is that we have a lot of good technicians who are nearing their retirement age. For example, at LIG Nexon, we have 1,300 skilled technicians who have been assembling all those missiles, radar, sonar system, torpedoes, and whatever. Bring best of those technicians back to the Colombian country, and then assign 10 young Colombian technicians to each of those seasoned veterans. Learn from them how to screw, how to tighten some of the bolts, and how to weld some of those systems. That is quickest way bringing up your manufacturing technology along with the research capabilities that will be acquired through those joint projects. So that is my observation from hearing Captain Toscan's wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hong, very much. Appreciate your comments, and I'm sure that your work will be taken back to the Colombian government.
Thank you, Mr. Hong. Our final conference will be led by Ms. Mabel Gisela Torres Torres, who is both a professor and research fellow at the Universidad Tecnológica del Chocó, as well as director of the BioNova project. Ms. Torres will discuss the Strategic Center for the Study and Sustainable Profit of Biodiversity in the Colombian Pacific and its dimension in a cooperative relationship with Asia Pacific. Welcome, Ms. Torres.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's a pleasure for me to be here in this moment and this place. This is a good start point for continue growing the conservation ecosystem, but I am very happy. My English is not good, but the Mr. Pedro translated for me. I talking about the BioNova, a strategic project for the use of sustainable use of biodiversity in the Colombian and the important cooperation with Korea. BioNova estará ubicado en una región muy estratégica para Colombia, que es la región del Chocó biogeográfico.
Well, BioNova will be located at a very strategic region, which lies quite on the Pacific coastline.
La importancia de este centro es mirar hacia el futuro mediante la inversión en ciencia, tecnología e innovación con una inversión social.
Well, the importance of this project is to look ahead into the future with possibility of investing and developing a social and a comprehensive project that will affect society and the communities basically on the Pacific.
Hay muchas cosas que nos unen con Corea, su posición geográfica y las políticas económicas para crecer juntos y muchas similitudes frente a lo que es la cuenca del Pacífico.
There are so many commonalities between Colombia and Korea, while they are both located in the Pacific Basin, and the fact that they share this participation in the sea is something that ties up Korea and Colombia.
Este gran proyecto es una oportunidad de crecimiento para Asia y también es una oportunidad de crecimiento para el Pacífico colombiano.
This great project is an opportunity for growth for both Korea and Asia as a region, and also for Colombia, and particularly for the Colombian Pacific region.
Existen antecedentes de la cooperación entre Colombia y Corea. Recientemente Corea financió la reestructuración de 2 hospitales en la región del Chocó.
Cooperation between Colombia and Korea is been in place for a period of time. She remarks that Korea has recently financed the restoration of a couple of hospitals in the region.
Recientemente me enfermé y me tocó ir a uno de estos hospitales y la directora del hospital fue compañera de estudio y me pregunta, ¿qué haces aquí?
She got sick recently, and she had to make it. She had to visit the hospital, and she ran into a former classmate of hers, and she asked Mrs. Torres, "What are you doing here?"
A lo que respondí, tengo que dar cuenta de que realmente la inversión de Corea está funcionando.
Then she answered to this former colleague of hers that she really wanted to make sure that the investment from Korea is bringing into place.
Bueno, el objetivo es realmente poder comentar acerca de los alcances que podemos tener mediante la implementación de un centro de ciencia, tecnología e innovación en cooperación con Asia.
Well, the essence of this project is to really put together, to assemble science, technology, and innovation in the Pacific, in the Colombian Pacific, and also to try to create a framework for conservation policies and sustainable use of biodiversity in these tropical rainforests.
Okay. El centro está, digamos, cumpliendo o está enmarcado entre unas políticas del orden nacional, como son las políticas de National Development Plan, National Policy de Science and Technology, the document Compass and Pacific Region, and Regional Competitiveness Plan Chocó. El Chocó hace parte de una región que se conoce como el Chocó biogeográfico, que va desde Costa Rica hasta Ecuador.
Well, she points out how this project is being supported by a normative framework that is composed of this body of norms and some national policies that have been structured. And she also points out that this project has a scope that covers not only the Colombian but also the Ecuadorial coastline.
Recientemente se creó el Sistema General de Regalías y lo que más nos importa de este Sistema General de Regalías es que hay un avance importante en los recursos que se van a invertir hacia adelante en proyectos de ciencia, tecnología e innovación.
Colombia has recently restructured its system of royalties, and she points out that it is important to remark how these new laws and new system has really emphasized on innovation and how to pair up with the budget allocation.
El gobierno colombiano ha designado 10% de los recursos generales de regalía para ciencia, tecnología e innovación, junto a otros fondos que existen para esta política.
With this system of royalties, the Colombian government has allocated up to 10% of the budget for science, technology, and innovation, and some other allocations at the regional and territorial levels.
Y lo más importante también para nosotros es que dentro de esta política se considera la financiación de unos centros importantes y estratégicos para el país, y dentro de estos está BioInnova.
It is important to remark that within this budgetary allocation, BioInnova has been included.
El Chocó biogeográfico es una ecorregión que se caracteriza por tener unas condiciones climáticas muy específicas que hacen que los bosques tengan unas características también particulares.
The region of Chocó has a very precise and very specifically featured ecosystem and characteristics, both geologically and in terms of the weather that make the system really special, and the relationship between the communities.
En esta región tenemos una particularidad, es que el 90% de los habitantes son descendientes de africanos y un 10% son indígenas y mestizos.
90% of the population that resides in this area is of an African descent, and 10% are Aborigines, and as well as mixed people.
Existen aproximadamente unas 48 etnias indígenas asentadas alrededor del territorio colombiano.
Around 48 different communities, 48 communities are located in this region of the Colombian territory.
Pero el 40% de estas comunidades viven en los centros urbanos más grandes del país, de la costa pacífica: Buenaventura, Quibdó, Tumaco, Turbo, Guapi e Ismina.
40% of these communities along the Pacific coastline live in the main urban centers like Buenaventura, Quibdó, Chocó, Turbo, Guapi, and Ismina.
Bueno, Turbo está ubicado de la región del Chocó biogeográfico, está ubicado en la costa atlántica.
Turbo is located on the Atlantic coast, up there, close to Panama.
Es importante resaltar que el Chocó biogeográfico, el departamento del Chocó, es el único departamento de Colombia que posee dos costas, en la costa atlántica y en la costa pacífica.
It is important to remark that among the Colombian provinces, Chocó is the only one having coastlines both on the Pacific and the Atlantic.
Y esto nos hace una región muy rica tanto en biodiversidad como en cultura y en comunidades.
This makes Chocó a very wealthy region in terms of culture and biodiversity.
El Chocó, que será el centro de BioInnova, está ubicado en la parte norte de Colombia, bueno, nororiente.
Chocó, which is the center of this project, is located to the northeast part of Colombia.
Esta región se caracteriza porque, a pesar de que tenemos mucha riqueza en biodiversidad y en recursos naturales, tenemos los índices más bajos del país en las necesidades básicas insatisfechas.
In spite of the wealth in biodiversity and culture, this department of Chocó is also characterized by a high level of poverty, and the conditions, the living standards are kind of depleted.
Y esas necesidades básicas insatisfechas se ven reflejadas en la calidad de vida de los habitantes de estas comunidades, que no tienen acceso a muchos recursos.
These conditions of poverty affect many of the variables, the social variables in Chocó, like health, water and sanitation, development infrastructure, education, and the lack of well-developed roads and transportation.
Sin embargo, Colombia es un mar y es un bosque tropical de muchas oportunidades.
Nonetheless, Colombia is a lot of sea and it is a rainforest that bears a lot of opportunities.
Mi propuesta frente al tema del desarrollo económico, social y ambiental la resumo en este triángulo.
My proposal on this project is summarized in this triangle.
La innovación está en la cima del triángulo porque tenemos que innovar en ciencia y en tecnología para avanzar de manera más rápida.
Innovation is right at the tip of the triangle because we really need to develop a science and technology in a very quick way.
Y esto como puntos transversal soportará lo que es el segundo sitio del mundo más megadiverso el segundo sitio más megadiverso del mundo.
The whole integration of these elements will support the second most megadiverse site in the whole world.
Para lo cual tendremos que agregar nuestra diversidad cultural y nuestra posición geográfica estratégica.
In order for us to meet these goals, we need to integrate also cultural diversity, strategic position, and science and technology.
Este es un triángulo al cual le tendremos que sacar provecho a partir de la cooperación y la unión entre países.
The meaning of Colombia is to really profit deep in depth from all these elements in the triangle, and the element of international community is right. Is like the platform, is the essential element that this project points out to.
Para contar un poco acerca de la biodiversidad, tenemos resumido aquí datos de plantas, mariposas y pájaros, pero lo más importante de este aspecto es que entre más diversidad tengamos, pues tendremos más oportunidades de tener nuevos descubrimientos.
These figures show, give you a gross idea about how biodiversity is of the essence in Colombia. But the most important is to use biodiversity in order to meet the challenges that we face.
El Chocó tiene mucho potencial de desarrollo, entonces BioInnova lo que está proponiendo es que la biodiversidad lo miremos desde otro punto de vista.
The main goal of BioInnova is to have the eyes, a different look into biodiversity from a different perspective.
En el Chocó está localizado uno de los gran hotspots del mundo, que significa que tenemos una gran cantidad de endemismos y de recursos que son propios y únicos de la región.
Chocó holds great hotspots in the world, and this means that the wealth of biodiversity is really a great asset.
Tenemos un potencial en fauna. Quiero dar 3 ejemplos en cada uno de los recursos biológicos que tenemos. Por ejemplo, la producción de venenos a partir de ranas, reptiles e insectos. Y lo que hay que resaltar aquí es que aunque podemos tener muchísimos organismos en otros sitios megadiversos,
she wants to remark that even though we have so many other places holding biodiversity assets, she points out at very particular examples, like the production of poisons out of reptiles, frogs, and spiders.
La particularidad está en que cuando los organismos son sacados de la región no producen ni la misma cantidad y la calidad del veneno. Alemania hizo una experimentación con ranas, con dendrobátides, en donde sacó a los organismos de su hábitat para producir venenos en Alemania.
It is important to remark that when these kind of sources for poisons are gotten out of their endemic sites, the productivity is not the same.
Sin embargo, la producción de este veneno está muy ligada a lo que comen y al entorno. Por lo tanto, los resultados no fueron buenos.
The quality of the poison, of the output of this experimentation is closely related to the nutrients and the conditions within the ecosystems from which these species are endemic.
Respecto a la flora, hemos avanzado en la caracterización de compuestos en las plantas que tienen propiedades medicinales y lo cual ha sido aprendido de nuestros ancestros.
In relation to flora, it is important to remark that while many of the characteristics and the traditional knowledge that has been accumulated from the ancestors is another special element in the project.
El conocimiento que la gente del Chocó y la costa del Pacífico y de la región del Chocó biogeográfico tiene acerca de su flora es muy importante porque esto nos ahorra muchísimos años de estudio.
Traditional knowledge from all these communities that has been passed over from generation to generation helps to close the gap, the technological gap that the project is pointing at.
Por ejemplo, la jagua es un colorante que ha sido utilizado de manera milenaria por los indígenas, lo cual lo han utilizado para pintarse la piel, para pintarse el cabello y para alimentación.
Different kinds of color sources have been used traditionally by these communities, and the project rescues many of these special recipes to integrate.
Esto le ahorró a una empresa colombiana años de trabajo porque pudieron, a partir de este conocimiento, desarrollar unos colorantes que no existían y que tienen muchísimas aplicaciones.
Some of the companies working around these properties have profited from this traditional knowledge, and they have been able to save many of the resources based upon this traditional knowledge.
Los indígenas pusieron su piel, su corazón y su mente para enseñarnos que estos productos no son toxicológicamente dañinos.
Aboriginal peoples have passed over the knowledge that all these organic sources pose no harm to human health.
Que es una investigación que nos podría tomar muchísimo tiempo.
This research could take quite a lot of time if it were to be done just from scratch.
Bueno, hay otros ejemplos muy importantes como el de la damagua, que ha sido tradicionalmente usada en el Chocó para realizar artesanías.
There are so many more examples of this traditional knowledge, like the one involving the making up of handicraft in Chocó.
Y se ha descubierto que esta damagua puede tener capacidad conductora, por lo tanto almacena mucha energía con lo que se podrían fabricar paneles solares.
Some of the sources that have been used here even have a potential to produce clean energy and solar energy in particular.
La microbiota o los hongos son otro componente muy importante de los climas tropicales.
Fungi and microbiota are another source of potential to create new industries.
Un ejemplo que podemos dar aquí es un desarrollo que estamos haciendo de alimentos funcionales, de functional food. Un ejemplo que podemos mencionar aquí es el desarrollo de alimentos funcionales.
Another example to be pointed out here is how to develop functional foods.
Podemos introducir componentes bioactivos y proteínas a alimentos que no lo tienen y convertirlos en alimentos rutinarios en nuestra alimentación.
Proteins can be introduced to new foods in order to enhance their potential and to introduce or adopt them into the diet.
Por ejemplo, el hongo que tenemos en la mitad, que es un hongo principalmente de climas tropicales, tiene la propiedad de producir colorantes y producir proteína, por lo que pudiéramos utilizarlo con una doble función.
She points out the example of the fungus in the middle that has dual goal for both for colorants and also for food.
Bueno, y un renglón muy importante que nosotros podemos ofrecer al mundo es el ecoturismo.
Ecotourism is another important potential that can be offered from Chocó to the world.
Colombia is the wonderful country. En el Chocó tenemos muchos parques nacionales en donde podemos combinar una serie de actividades.
Chocó holds many national parks where an array of activities can be combined together.
Porque tenemos una variedad de ecosistemas que nos permiten visitarlo todo el año.
Because these parks have a variety of ecosystems that can be visited all year round.
Existe en la actualidad una relación con la naturaleza que ha permitido que los ecosistemas se empiecen a degradar.
Modern time relationship with nature has unfortunately allowed for the degradation of many of the ecosystems.
Sin embargo, tenemos que mirar un poco hacia el pasado y ver cuál era la relación que tenían nuestros ancestros con la naturaleza.
Nonetheless, it is important to look into the past and rediscover the relationship of our ancestors to nature.
No necesitamos detener el progreso, lo que necesitamos es aprender de estos antepasados para poder seguir desarrollándonos.
Progress ought not to be stopped. What we need to do is to look into the past and learn from our ancestors and traditional knowledge.
Queremos mirar la biodiversidad con otros ojos.
We want to look at biodiversity with from a different perspective.
La biodiversidad la tendremos que mirar entonces como un negocio que sea social, económica y ambientalmente sostenible.
Biodiversity should be seen as a business which is socially and environmentally sustainable.
Basado en estos 5 puntos.
On the basis of these 5 issues:
El rescate y la validación del conocimiento ancestral,
the rescue and validation of ancestral knowledge,
la preparación de nuevas generaciones como una contribución a la capitalización del recurso humano,
the preparation of new generations as a contribution to the capitalization of human resources,
la apropiación social del conocimiento como una manera de sostenibilidad de los proyectos y programas,
social appropriation of knowledge as a way to enhance sustainability,
la generación de nuevo conocimiento que nos permita darle valor agregado a nuestros recursos biológicos,
generating new knowledge in order to give some value added to our products,
y la transferencia de tecnología que le permita a las comunidades crecer juntos con la comunidad científica.
and technology transfer that will allow for communities to grow at the same time with scientific knowledge.
Nosotros basamos nuestra intervención en este ciclo productivo que tenemos aquí en la diapositiva.
The project intervention is based upon the cycle that is shown on the slide.
Por lo tanto, tendremos que desarrollar nuevos productos innovadores, fortalecer el recurso humano, realizar alianzas estratégicas, implementar programas de transferencia de tecnología, participar en la organización comunitaria, promover la tecnología y la innovación para el desarrollo, diseñar una estrategia de educación para la productividad y la competitividad y finalmente poder crear empresas con base tecnológica.
The cycle starts from the development of innovative products from biodiversity, the development of human resources, also the setting up of strategic alliances, the implementation of outreach programs, and the transfer of technology, the organization of communities, the promotion of innovation, technology, and enterprise and business development, educational strategy for productivity, and the whole cycle ends up in creating businesses that are based on science, technology, and innovation.
Entonces, BioInnova es una corporación de ciencia y tecnología sin ánimo de lucro que nació como la necesidad de consolidar tanto a la comunidad, la comunidad científica bajo una óptica de desarrollo económico sostenible, tanto social, económica y ambientalmente.
Based upon the previous elements, we can define BioInnova as a corporation that integrates the use of biodiversity from an economic and economically sustainable focus at a regional and a national level. The main goal is to strengthen socioeconomic dynamics around regional biodiversity within the Chocó region.
Necesitamos articular entonces a toda la comunidad para poder darle valor agregado y generar una estructura en la región que le permita crecer a la gente junto con el resto del mundo.
The main challenge is to incorporate and integrate institutions, companies, organizations in the region, and also the willingness of communities and the government into a project to generate and expand knowledge and innovation.
Y esto
Based on biodiversity that can be transferred to different communities worldwide.
Y esto significa integrar universidades, sociedad y empresas.
Basically, this means to integrate societies, governments, and business companies.
Bueno, la misión de BioInnova es contribuir al desarrollo científico y tecnológico del país a través de la generación, adaptación y transferencia de conocimiento de biodiversidad, a través de la investigación con criterios de sostenibilidad ambiental, social y económico.
As a whole, BioInnova aims at using and transferring knowledge of biodiversity through research and environmental sustainability criteria, and trying to improve and help the industrialization of that will benefit the living standards of communities.
Y nuestra visión es que en el 2025 seremos reconocidos como un centro de referencia en uso sostenible y aprovechamiento de la biodiversidad.
The vision of BioInnova is stated in the slide, is to be well recognized and positioned as a think tank, as a center of investigation to manage biodiversity and to integrate it with business in the Chocó region of Colombia.
Entonces nuestros objetivos son validar el conocimiento ancestral, implementar estrategias de investigación, contribuir al desarrollo de nuevos productos, contribuir al desarrollo científico y tecnológico y finalmente contribuir a la creación de empresas de base tecnológica.
All the five strategic objectives summarized in the creation of the development of companies with based of biodiversity and technology.
Los programas que se plantean en BioInnova son biodiversidad, teniendo como recursos bacterias, algas, hongos, plantas y animales, desarrollo de nuevos productos para la industria y programas de productos y servicios del bosque.
The research programs that are set up by BioInnova are stated here based on biodiversity, the program for new product development industry, and the program for forest products and services.
En esta relación entonces nace un matrimonio muy importante para BioInnova, que es el matrimonio entre KISS y BioInnova.
BioInnova is very hopeful that this new scenario will put together as a couple the potentials of BioInnova and the potential of the Korean Institute of Science and Technology.
Para lo cual hemos construido una agenda inicial, que es la firma de un convenio de cooperación entre KISS y BioInnova.
For this purpose, there has been agreed to sign an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, that will integrate these two entities.
e implementación de un proyecto de investigación conjunto,
Well, they also aim at implementing a joint research project,
implementación de un programa de entrenamiento a nivel de doctorados y maestrías,
another objective is to implement a program at a graduate level, both at master's and doctoral levels.
entrenamiento de fortalecimiento de un herbario de plantas en Colombia,
The strengthening of a Colombian plants herbarium is another of the objectives of this cooperation.
establecimiento de una colección de hongos tanto in vitro y un banco de germoplasmas de hongos,
The establishment of a Colombian collection of fungi and in vivo and some other tropical fungi in Chocó.
el establecimiento de plantas pilotos para procesamiento de productos naturales,
The establishment of pilot plants for processing Colombian natural products.
y finalmente la operación del proyecto.
And finally, the MOU also aims at the establishment of the project as a whole.
Estos son los socios iniciales fundadores de Bioinnova.
These are the founding actors of Bionova:
Colciencias, Universidad Tecnológica del Chocó, la Gobernación del Chocó, Universidad Autónoma de Occidente, Universidad Antonio de Nariño y Municipio del Atrato.
As you can see, these actors comprise the participation of the public sector in the head of Colciencias, which is the natural institution for science and technology and innovation, and the participation of many of the universities in place.
Bueno, finalmente quiero decir gracias a la Embajada de Colombia, al Gobierno de Corea, a los organizadores de la Expo Yotsu, al Instituto de Investigaciones Coreano de Ciencia y Tecnología y bueno, la hospitalidad y la presencia de ustedes en este seminario.
Finally, she wants to say thank you to all the organizers, the committee of the YOSO Expo, and the participants of the seminar today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Finally, allow me to introduce Dr. Sang Hoon Jung, Senior Research Director at the Korean Institute of Science and Technology, to provide final additional commentaries about the conference.
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. My name is Sang Hoon Jung, and I'm in charge of Senior Research Scientist in Korea Institute of Science and Technology, KIST. And also I'm in charge of project leader between Korea and Colombia project named as Global KIST project. I'm very honored to be here and delighted to speak and comment the precious presentation. I was very impressed about the presentation and especially natural products in Colombia, because Colombia is known as rich country for resources, especially plant and marine natural products. So it is also very interesting that Choco area is top department for biodiversity in Colombia. Natural product researches are also very important part in KIST. I think it might be better to understand KIST before my comment. So I would like to introduce KIST in video. Let's play video and I told it that.
As Korea's Central Science Research Institute, KIST is on its way to becoming a leader in the global science for the 21st century. From its roots in Asia to around the world, leading creative research that will fuel Korea's growth. KIST science innovations are leading Korea into a bright future.